Hey sewing friends, I am so excited to share with you today what I've been up to in the month of January. So we're going to talk sewing and crafting, but it's also a great opportunity, I think, for me to share kind of a bigger overarching goal for 2026. This year I have set myself up with a 12 by 12 goal sheet. So that is where I've picked 12 goals that I will then repeat over the 12 months this year. And all of these goals, I'd initially thought that they seemed kind of random, but the more that I looked at it and the more that I lived into them in January and tried to complete these various goals, I really saw that there's very much a theme of creativity and care and how those things really do interact with each other. And yeah, my creative output versus inspiration versus self and community care are really just all very, very related. So I will start with the sewing and crafting and I'll do chapters. So if you're not into what I'm getting up to personally, that is totally fine. I'll put the chapters in for you below. This will be probably a pretty chatty video. So you'll want to grab a cup of tea or a snack, sink into maybe your knitting project, get your sewing out, and we'll tuck in. So I have here my little spreadsheet. That's what I'm using to track the 12 goals and then how I have completed them. It's not the snazziest, the prettiest way to organize it, but it's easy for my brain to just see everything out listed. I may make an actual physical copy. I think that would be nice to just have hanging up somewhere. But for now, I've just got it on my phone and I thought I would just read through the 12 goals that I have and then we'll get into a bit more of what they mean as I share what I've been up to in January. So starting off, the first one is to finish a garment. Then it is to complete a craft, upcycle or upkeep, audience participation, poetry reading, feel something, make something, try a new recipe, make some cookies, do a home improvement, play a board game, go on a nature walk, and lastly, citizen action. So first up is finished garments, and there's not a lot to report. I would have loved to start the year with a bang, but that's just not what happened. And honestly, if I didn't have this goal of completing a garment by the end of the month, I probably would not have touched my machine in January at all. So rather than try to whip through something that either I didn't need or that I didn't really want, but just needed to create something for the sake of it, instead I had a look in my alterations, refashion pile, and I found a jersey dress that I've not been wearing because it sits a little off the shoulder in not a great way, and did some reevaluating and decided what I really need in my wardrobe is not a jersey dress, but a new pajama top. So if you watched my Make 9 video, I did already talk about this top, but now it is complete. So basically I just took that jersey dress, it's the Cashmerette Pembroke, and I just cut it into kind of just somewhere between tunic and t-shirt length, which is what I prefer for sleepwear. The fabric is a really soft, very worn in bamboo cotton jersey. It is a bit pilly on the outside, but again, it's sleepwear. I'm the only one who's going to see it. And I think this was a really great project to get something out of that alterations bin where it's just been languishing for a couple years and then actually filling a need that I had in my wardrobe. So I'm very happy with this. I went for a little contrast stitching here. I really like the green-yellow combination. Added a label, which I do prefer for solids in my wardrobe. So I'm not just looking for the little seam at the back, but I can very easily tell when I'm folding laundry, which side is the back, and in the dark, putting on pajamas or whatever. So I did that. I'm very happy with this. And again, I probably would not have reached for this project specifically if I didn't have the goal of oh, I have a week. I don't really want to start a project, but I do want to finish something before the end of the month. So that is this little pajama shirt. The second goal is to complete a craft, and I actually completed two things in January. This first one I started in December, and it's this very cute little jar of kimchi. So both of these And I have a third one as well, are little designs from Cotton Clara Craft. So I have a honey jar that I've already made from last year. Now I have kimchi and hot sauce to go with it. And the plan for this is, once my kitchen is a little bit nicer, we'll talk about that later, to frame these up and hang them over our little workbench, because we happen to use honey, hot sauce, and kimchi a whole lot in our cooking. So I think that that's a really fun way to bring some craftiness, something handmade into the kitchen. So I'm very excited about both of these. Both very satisfying small projects that were really fun. So very excited about these two. When I made the goal upcycle and upkeep, I had definitely envisioned more on the like refashion side of things. I was definitely thinking in terms of clothing, of like mending, repairing, altering, refashioning. But like as life happens, I realize that there are many other things in my life that need attention in that way. So while I don't have a clothing or a garment upkeep, upcycle for this month, I am going to count some home improvement in this category for this month. So one of our big projects, well, for the year throughout, is just to make our house like a bit nicer. And we started that process in December and January over the holiday break, where we completely stripped our walls, repaired tons of like holes and weak spots and weird spots, and then ended up replastering basically everything. So I'm gonna call that upkeep. It's house upkeep, not so much hobby upkeep, but it did take a lot of our time and attention this month. So that's what I'm calling for this one. I'm gonna check it off. It's not necessarily what I intended for the category, and it's probably a bit less interesting to share about, but it was a really huge undertaking that I am very, very proud to have finally actually accomplished. So goal number 4, I'm calling audience participation. It's actually a rollover goal from last year. I really enjoyed putting some intentionality around getting out of my house and engaging in art by other people. So that could be going to a museum or a gallery, a concert, a play. And I found it just like so enriching and really helpful for my creativity overall, and like for my own, I think, like mental health, to go, yeah, engage with art that is not just only like in my own head. So for this January, I ended up going to 2 concerts. They were mostly scheduled, yeah, they were scheduled last year. So that was an easy one to hit for this month. The first one, I went with my spouse to see Saturdays at Your Place. They're a pop punk band, and we saw them in this tiny like basement venue. Very, very fun. The vibes were just immaculate, so good. And then just this last Friday, we went to, some friends and I that were all Taylor Swift fans, we went and saw the Eras Tour. And so we ended up seeing a Taylor Swift pop punk cover band, which I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know if people would like get into it. For me, it was like the perfect crossover because I go to a lot of like emo, pop punk kind of events, or at least I did last year. That's what my first concert was for this year. And then crossing it with Taylor Swift, which seems like a weird mashup, but I gotta say it worked so well and it was so much fun. I had a really great time. So those are my 2 for audience participation for January. So goal number 5 was to do some poetry reading, specifically to read 1 poetry book every month, because my problem with reading poetry, I really, really love it, but I struggle to pace myself. And so either I will like just plow through a book and find that like I don't quite absorb it, like nothing really sticks because I've just like read it cover to cover in one sitting and then out it goes. I don't really give myself time to process. Or the other side is I do give myself time to process. I do try to like space it out, and then I just get distracted. I read 2 poems and then I never get back to the rest of it, so I don't finish anything. Those are the 2 sides I end up like living on. So I'm hoping by giving myself like the time frame of read a book within a month, I can kind of pace myself, go nice and slow, take it all in, do some reflecting, but then still have like an end date, still have like, yeah, an end cap in mind. And I think that that did really help. So I made my way through Milk and Honey this month. This is one that I bought on vacation, read cover to cover in one sitting, and then, you know, forgot about for years. So it was, I think I'm onto something. I think my hypothesis is proving correct with, yeah, forcing myself to pace within a month was great. This is a really nice one for just like dipping your toes back into poetry reading. It is a lot of very short and very concise, very distilled poems. Yeah, it's really, really lovely. So I would definitely recommend. It's very good, like, again, first poetry book, I think. So really enjoyed that one and looking forward to building on this habit more in the future. So we've talked about audience participation and poetry reading. So engaging in art outside myself. This next goal is about engaging with creativity within. And I'm calling this one Feel Something, Make Something, after this amazing little book that I read last year. I cannot recommend this enough. If you are a creative person, it's both like broad, but also very practical. So it doesn't go into like specific mediums, but it does go into really helpful tools for creative expression, whatever your medium is. She even talks about mark making, which takes the pressure off of calling something like drawing or sketching or painting, where it has to be like good, whatever good means. But like to make a mark with anything available to you, whether that is using words, whether that's using like blobs or Post-its, or like the world is really very large. And the point of it is not the thing that is made, but the process of actually making it, the process of sitting with yourself. It says a guide to collaborating with your emotions. So how to, yeah, like sit with yourself rather than, you know, my dichotomy of either just putting my head down, plowing through life, or getting stuck in the like doom scroll of it all, to actually sit with myself and think about things and then create something from whatever those feelings happen to be. So this is not one that I will be sharing, at least at this time, but I did actually sit down. I gave myself space, which is the big key here, to really like, yeah, again, sit with myself, sit with what I am feeling, particularly about the state of things worldwide, and to do some writing. So I not only did like a little bit of sketching, my feelings and what went with that, but I also wrote a little bit of a poem. Again, whether or not I go back to these, it could definitely use some refining if I were to want to like publish it, or share it in any way. But really the point for me right now is to have that processing time and engage with what is going on internally and putting that out on paper. It's not about editing. It's not about perfecting it. In fact, it is the opposite of that. I really want to like, once it's there, like hands off, at least for now, so that I can get in the habit of being bad at something. Or I mean, maybe not even bad, but really just like releasing myself from any judgment around this kind of creativity. So right now it's really about the process, sitting with myself, putting it out on paper, and then letting it be what it is for that particular moment. So that is Feel Something, Make Something goal for the year. It's probably the hardest and most ambitious thing on this list, but it is probably the creative habit that I am most interested in, and I feel like is the most necessary for me to build on for this year and probably after as well. So now we're going to shift from kind of like artsy creativity to more practical forms of creativity and talk about cooking. So this is another like rollover from last year. I found it very helpful to give myself the goal of trying a new recipe every month to kind of get out of that like weekly routine of like, these are the 5 meals that I make generally on a weeknight. So yeah, to look for some more inspiration, some more creativity. And I have some really beautiful cookbooks that I feel like are very underutilized. So this one is absolutely gorgeous. I've got the recipes marked to show you. That's why it's like a little weird, but it's called Zaitoun and it's recipes from the Palestinian kitchen. It is so beautiful and it's written by a Yasmin Khan is like a journalist, but also recipe developer, chef. So there's like interviews and where she's like, she really goes into people's homes. This was written, I think, in 2018. So where tensions were still very high, but are not like the state that things are in now. And I have a lot of feelings, I will say. I did not mean to talk about this, but here we are. It's a tangent. You'll just have to write it out with me. I definitely have some feelings about having access to ingredients that the people of this region, the authors of these recipes, don't have right now. And on the one hand, I feel some guilt about that. And rage as well. On the other hand, I also feel like this is a great way to honor their history and to make sure that their culture is staying alive when the people are being directly threatened. So this is Zaitoun. It's a beautiful cookbook. And I made 2 recipes from it this month. So the first, I'll show you. I could just like probably look up pictures online and put them in, but no, I'm going to awkwardly hold them up instead. This was a roast carrot dish tossed in a delicious yogurt sauce. Now, for one, I always forget how much I love eating roast carrots. I never make them, but every time I have them, I'm like, oh, so good. And then I never would have thought of tossing a warm roasted vegetable into a cool yogurt sauce, but it was so good, really simple and easy to make, honestly. And I will absolutely be making it again. It was so, so good. And then the second one I made was this roast eggplant with spiced chickpeas. And I've made like a similar dish to this, but in like an Indian variant where it was like a tomato, eggplant, chickpea curry with, yeah, like Indian style spices. And I like it. I like this so much more. And by roasting the eggplant rather than cooking it in the curry, I feel like gave it a lot more like better texture. So I will be making this again for sure. It was a really easy weeknight meal. It does take kind of a long time. I think like the total cooking time is a little over an hour, but most of that is hands-off time. So that worked really well for me. And I loved like all the warm spices in this. I feel like it really complemented the eggplant. It just like soaked all of those juicy spices up. It was so good. And for winter, like those warm spices are just a delight. So those are my 2 recipes for January. I love having like a 2 for 2 success rate. Sometimes you try something new and it's like, no thanks. And yeah, sometimes big winners. So those are my 2 recipes for January. So something that I discovered about myself last year is that I've been really intimidated by baking, I think because of experiences with like bread and cakes being like very scientific with like very little margin for error. But what is like a bit more accessible and something that I found kind of my groove with is cookies, bars, and brownies. So that's why it is on this list to bake some cookies every month. And this month I made 2 batches of cookies. One was a cookie bar for my partner's birthday, and those were so, so good. I took a M&M's cookie bar recipe and swapped out M&M's. I don't really like M&M's for one, and I felt like it kind of made it like a little bit more, you know, like something you'd serve for a kid's birthday party, and swapped in like some more grown-up additions. So I did walnuts and dark chocolate, and I did marshmallows, and I now want to put marshmallows in absolutely everything. I think they are just texturally delightful. Depending on where they are, like in the bake, they might stay like soft and fluffy, but they might also like get caramely and sticky and gooey. I Absolutely loved those. Definitely a success. And they basically have like the texture and taste of raw cookie dough, but they are actually like thoroughly cooked. So they are, yeah, just really like gooey and chewy, just like so good. So I will definitely be making those again. I really loved that combination of the dark chocolate, the walnut, and the marshmallow. Sorry, I don't have a picture for you, so I'll just have to put in like the original recipe for the M&M ones. That was actually what we made over Christmas. And then the second recipe that I tried was a new one to me, also from Sally's Baking Addiction. These were for chai latte cookies, and I would say they were very good snickerdoodles. I did not pick up on the like chai spice. If I were to do them again, I would definitely like tweak that spice mixture and then put some of it in the actual cookie dough itself rather than just rolling it in the like cinnamon sugar chai spice mix. I would definitely like up the ante because it was not giving chai. It was a good snickerdoodle, but not chai. And I had made them for a friend who really loves chai lattes, so that was like kind of my inspiration. And then the chai didn't really come through. So that I feel like needs some tweaking, but something that I can still revisit or try something new next month. So a big goal of ours for this year is to really improve our living space. Every single room in our house needs attention, but we absolutely need to balance like time and budget and functionality. As much as we'd love to just like whip through and repair everything and get everything all done at once, like that's just not going to happen for us. We need to kind of space things out. So for this next goal for home improvement in January, we, like I said, made some really big strides, stripping and replastering the walls and then painting them as well. So everything is a nice, fresh white. Still need to do like baseboards, trims, etc. But for now, the walls are done and everything looks so much fresher. I do love color, but we found like for versatility and visibility, our living room is really gonna do best with just a white wall, and then we'll find other ways with like textiles, with a gallery wall, with a new couch, hopefully, to bring in some color there. But for now, I'm really happy to have the old gray walls gone. Another rollover goal from last year is to play a board game every month. This is something that my spouse and I really love to do together. It's been a part of our relationship for ages, but sometimes you just don't make the time to do the things that you like to do. So that's why this goal is on here. It's not anything like revolutionary, but yeah, in January, we were very much in the groove, partially because our kid is 8 now and we have a bit more of a collection of not just like kiddie games and like deep strategy games, but ones that kind of like cross over in the middle that we can do as a family rather than playing a board game like coming out of like adult only time, which we don't have a ton of. So we played quite a lot of games this month. I think my favorite was probably Spots. This is a game that we got over the holidays, and it's just a push your luck dice game with like these really cute little dogs. And so that was a really fun one to play as a family. And then for his birthday, my spouse got The Road to El Dorado. So that was a good one to play as well. It's a deck builder, but you still have a board and like someone to move around. It's not super, it's a classic for a reason. It was really good. I think we played a couple other ones, but those were the two that came to mind right now. I checked that one off. Yeah, we ended up having like a impromptu board game night with his cousin, which was very fun. We played Machiavelli, which is a more like social deduction game. And I'll be honest, it was late and I was tired and I did not like do my best with that one, but it was still fun, still good to do. So yeah, hopefully more board games coming up in February. Next up is to do a nature walk. And this is one that I know and have identified as very important for my mental health. Now, I will say I do walk pretty much everywhere. I walk to get my groceries, I walk for school pickup. So I am like getting out of my house, but I think like to have an intentional, like going for a walk is different than just like yeah, walking to the grocery store. So sadly, I did not make time for this in January. It's something that I know is really good and really important for my mental health, but I just did not make it happen. So I can't even blame the weather because we had like quite a dry January. We had lots of really beautiful sunny days, but again, like with all of the house stuff that we were really focusing on this month, yeah, that took like the bulk of kind of our actual time, but then also just like energy was really, really tired this month. So all good things, but I definitely want to kind of, yeah, hopefully like shift that balance moving forward to spend some intentional time in nature. My last goal is called community action and is very easily the most important one on this list. As much as many of my goals are around self-care and creativity, we can't be losing out on community care. And I don't have a whole lot of ways to participate in that from afar, but what I can do, what I absolutely can do from here is to call my government representatives. I am a registered voter, even though I live abroad. So I need to be doing that. And I've given myself the excuse for ages that I either don't have time or it's too expensive to call internationally. So really there's like plans that I've looked into that I just need to change over and get registered for a better phone plan that allows me to call internationally. It doesn't actually cost that much, yeah, when you're on a good plan. So I have fixed that. And then secondly, the other thing was like telling myself that I don't have time, but like I do have time. That is something that I can make time for. My original goal number 12 was to find time or to make time to paint my nails at least once a month, which is something that is good for my self-care. It is something that puts me in a better mood. It makes me feel a bit more like myself when I have my nails done. And if I can find time to do that, I can find time to call my representatives. And in fact, I can probably combine the two activities, using speakerphone, using a script that is already prepared for me on fivecalls.org. Like that is all, there's so many really great resources to bridge those gaps. So that's something I'm committing to for this year. Ideally, we would all be doing those 5 calls either weekly or daily. And so hopefully I can be building a habit in that direction. My goal, again, with like all of these things is to be creating sustainable habits and to create some longevity. So this is a new thing for me. I've not like really participated in this in the past. I've emailed like sporadically, but getting into a habit of being in contact with my representatives to create solid change and safety for both citizens and immigrants is something that is very, very important to me as an immigrant. Being in a like international relationship, yeah, is very high on my list, as well as obviously community safety, physical safety for people. So time to actually do something about that instead of just holding these beliefs and feeling powerless about them. Yeah, so finding ways to bridge that gap, getting involved. I'm calling it community action because it may mean other things in the future, but for now I'm sticking to at least doing those 5 calls once a month, if not, hopefully on a weekly basis. So this was very much like a different kind of video than what I usually do. I know it was a bit more on the personal side, didn't just stick to strictly sewing and crafting, but I do feel like creativity and self-care and community care do kind of all go together. They all very much influence each other. So to me, it's all part of the same practice. So hopefully you enjoyed hearing about that from me. Yeah, like I said, this will be a year-long process that I am engaging in, but I don't know let me know if you liked hearing about this, because I could do them like a monthly episode, I guess. Is it called an episode? A monthly video to recap what I've been up to, or maybe I can put them like in quarters perhaps. Yeah, so let me know what you think, what you thought of this style. And I did this project kind of in lieu of New Year's resolutions. Now, obviously, it's not like the new year anymore. We're into February now, but I would still love to know from you, because I am nosy AF, what you were doing for, if you had any resolutions, if you have any like ongoing projects that you are working on for 2026, I would love to know. And I'd love to know where you are with creativity right now. Like maybe you are deep in the flow of things and it's coming really easy, or maybe you're in need of some inspiration or motivation or initiation, because sometimes I know for me, I can have all the inspiration and motivation to do things, but I still can't quite get started. So there's lots of we're all on different journeys and all in different places and different orientations with our creativity. So I would love to know where you're at. You can either hit me up in the comments below. You can go find me on Instagram. Either way, I'd love to know how you are and what you're up to. And until next time, happy making. I hope that wherever you are with your creativity, that you are finding peace and joy. So yeah, until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye.